Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about 7 common sandblasting myths. Number 7 is that it costs more. The media does add to your expenses, but you save enough on labor to make up for that cost. Most of the time, an hour of blasting will equal 1 to 2 days of a person actually using a sander. So your significant savings on labor will offset any of the additional costs that you have on your media. For really big jobs, you can save a lot of time and a lot of money, and most companies care more about the time than they do the money. Number 6 is that it's only for steel. A lot of people think that sandblasting is only for metal structures, cars, boats, buildings, things like that. But really, if you use the right media, you can blast just about anything. Anything from wood to custom furniture to driveways to pool tiles, just about anything. The opportunities are endless. I think I got it. Number 5 is that it only uses sand. Really, there's an extensive amount of different medias we can use. You can use walnut, corn cob, garnet, steel shot, sand, recycled bottle glass. Every job is different. So make sure when you contact your blaster, you ask them what type of media they're going to be used. Also, if you're using a silica-based product, make sure that you have the correct EPA standards to be able to use that in the area that you're in. Number 4 is that anybody can do it. Sandblasting is a skill that takes time to develop. Make sure that if you get a blaster to do your project, that you ask them some questions. What type of media are they using? What type of equipment are they using? How big is the tip? There's a lot of different things that go into not damaging the parts that you're blasting. The last thing you want to do is hire somebody to help you make your project go faster, end up damaging it, and then you have to replace it anyways. Number 3 is that you can blast a car in 45 minutes. You can't correctly blast a car in 45 minutes. Most cars that we do take between 4 and 5 hours. Sometimes upwards of 7 hours if they want the entire frame and undercarriage and interior done. So make sure if your blaster tells you that it's only going to be done in an hour, you need to double check his work. Make sure he's doing a thorough job. Make sure that you double check before he leaves. Everything that you got blasted needs blasted. You don't want to shortchange yourself on getting your projects done. Number 2 is dustless blasting. There is no 100% solution to removing all the dust during media blasting. There are some really good options to reduce your dust by quite a bit. Wet blasting is the most popular. It adds water to your media, and as it comes out, it collects the dust and knocks most of it down. It doesn't knock all of it down, but it'll knock about 90% of it down. Another solution is sponge blasting, and you use a certain type of media where the media itself is actually encased in a small sponge, and when it hits, it collects the dust and falls down. Again, it doesn't knock off all of it, probably about 80 to 85%. The last one and most expensive way to do it is laser removal, and that's actually using a high-powered laser to burn the rust, dust, or paint, or whatever it is off of it, but it creates a small smoke and it does create dust because everything that comes off of the steel has to go somewhere. It doesn't evaporate. There are options to reduce your dust while you're blasting dry by using things that produce less dust. Glass is one of the less dusty, dry ways to do it. One of the more dusty versions is using organics. Your corn cob, your walnut, your pecan shells, things like that, they're extremely dusty. So make sure if you're picking out a type of blasting that you ask your blaster what type of media they're going to use and how much dust you can expect. And the number 1 myth about sandblasting is that heat warps panels. This is not true. The pressure created from the sandblasting is what actually warps the panels. The friction that creates the heat that most people assume warp the panels is not high enough to actually change the compound of the steel. You have to get very, very hot, 800 degrees, to be able to manipulate steel from a heat side. The pressure of your blasting depends a lot on what type of media you're using and how much PSI you have your
system set at. Also, the size of your tip matters a lot. If you're using a big tip, you have a little bit less pressure. If you have a really small tip for detail work, you're going to have a lot more pressure. So make sure you ask your blasters, what type of PSI are you working at? What type of tip are you using at? What are you going to do when you get on a long panel like the roof or an older car's fenders, things like that? Make sure you ask a lot of questions. The last thing you want to do is spend all this time and effort getting your car sandblasted down to bare metal and then have nothing but problems getting all the panels back to where they're supposed to be. So a little bit of homework up front will save you a lot of headache in the back. And that was our 7 myths about sandblasting. Hopefully you learned a little something. If you want to, make sure you leave a comment below. Maybe I missed something, maybe you have some more questions. If we earned it, hit the subscribe button, hit the little like button, and we'll see you next time.